Episode 8. We're in. Mother's Day edition. What's going on?
Happy Mother's Day out there to all you moms. Special shout out to my mother who always listens.
Mama Sally.
And she always requests outfit requests. So happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Happy Mom's Day to all you moms out there. The unsung heroes. The mortar. The one that keeps us all together. So happy Mother's Day to you all.
Cheers.
Cheers. Episode 8. We're underway. Liz Nacarado, Scott Selling, Two Trainers Podcast. Bringing you health and fitness information, having some discussions, and a little bit of a way to alleviate some tension throughout the pandemic, if you will. So classic question Liz always kicks it off with, no pun intended.
What shoes are you wearing, Scott?
All right, I got the Air Penny 2s. These are a classic for all you sneakerheads out there. If you guys might remember a guy named Anthony Hardaway, 90s All-Star. Yeah, he had a great shoe line back in the 90s. Couldn't afford them as a kid, but work hard enough and maybe you can save up $100. No, I'm joking. I'm kidding. Anyway, what you got going on?
I have no idea what these are called. I don't know what these are, but they're just like a floral kind of springish kind of pink.
Looks like a Miami trainer-ish.
It actually says...
I think if Art Naps had a shoe, that would be like their feature.
Flex contract.
Yeah.
Anyways, they're cute. Look,
the
they're
Art
floral.
Naps Nikes.
Anyways, they're not the Art Naps Nikes.
Yeah.
I think they're cute, so you guys can just talk about that.
Porcoquitla Monopoly.
Yes, I did.
You finally nailed it.
Thank you to Rena, who finally found me one. I love it. It's kind of dweeby. Had a few clients make fun of me for it, but I don't care.
It's all good. It's just, we opened it up. It's cool.
What were you happy about? The fact that Terry Fox was number 1 on there?
Honestly, it's pretty lackluster. Like it's all good. I mean, it's just, it looks pretty like, I don't know.
Pretty ghetto. But you know what? I have it, so it's all good, and I'm happy. So thank you, Rena, for picking that up for me. I really appreciate that.
In my opinion, it loses its like cachet when you do like Richmond Monopoly. It just seems like a cash grab.
Yep, and
right?
they definitely grabbed my $35. So there you go. You got it.
$35 for like Poco Monopoly, and they basically just like copy pasted like different things from different.
They found the Landmarks, the Arms Pub, Gilnetter, and the Cat and Fiddle.
Yeah.
As the pubs, and
I was just looking through the cards, and it'd been cool if they had like customized cards, like Terry Fox football team won the championship. Like collect $1,000.
They wouldn't even know that the Terry Fox football team.
If you don't know, then you don't know.
It's
just,
Poco, some guy in like Toronto making a friggin' Poco Monopoly.
That's what I'm saying, man. Do your research. Do your research. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. Terry Fox basketball wins the AAA championship.
There should have been some teachers on there.
Riverside Cheer and Dance wins the epic challenge of Bring It On.
Yeah, no, I would really hope not to.
That'd be sick, but whatever.
Anyways, Pokemon Monopoly. Scott thinks it's lackluster. I'm pretty happy I got it. So thank you. Also had a ton of people ask me like that they said they found it, and I was like, I don't need 10 of them. I just need 1. So
like significant traffic jam going up David Hill.
I think there is one.
It doesn't get that specific.
Oh, okay.
It just uses all the generic like traffic jam minus $25.
Okay, gotcha.
Or whatever it is, but like use the specifics of like there's serious congestion with David Hill traffic. Like there we go. Now we're doing our research.
Built the Coast Meridian overpass.
I like customization.
All right. So Scott, you finished up keto.
Yeah.
There's a newsletter going out about it tomorrow with a little bit more in detail, but just give us a breakdown of like, basically just talk about it for a quick 2 minutes on what you thought about it.
Well, it was
very interesting.
It was more of a challenge than I thought. I'll just brief you guys quickly. It was more challenging than I thought. It's when you look on paper, you're like, okay, like you look at the macronutrient ratios and so whatever, call it 70 to 80% fat or 60 to 80%, whatever you want to do. Like that percentage looks easy on paper, but then when you actually try to do it, it's actually quite challenging if you're really not used to that type of food, which I really realized how little fat I actually have in my diet. So it was that's where it began. It's like you have to like fatten up your fat in order to really hit like ketosis. I think I hit in like light ketosis a couple times, and it was good. It was good enough for me. I could have pushed it. I tried to put the pedal to the metal in the second, like week 1 to say the first 2 weeks wasn't so bad because I was kind of like into it, and I tried to crank it up the last 2, and I was literally like nauseous for the last couple of weeks. Like it was the oils I was trying to heavy up a little bit, and it's just not my palate, right? Like I'm not used to. I don't like fatty meats. Like as a kid, the gelatinous texture of fat I wasn't a fan of. Like I can't really think of a fat that I'm like, yay. Mm-hmm. Cheese I like, but I'm not like a cheese obsessed. Avocados I like, but I'm not obsessed. So And it's just not enough. Like, it's not enough to just have like an avocado. You got to have like avocado with like eggs and oil and like butter, and you really need to, you know, enjoy it. And
did you find that it like made you train less or more? Like, did you find like...
It was just a grind. Okay. The whole month was a grind. It was just physically, I was just trying to get workouts in just to obviously exercise. I wasn't going to not exercise, but it just wasn't... You just knew that, you know, my body had functioned efficiently on other, like the carbohydrate or fruit. Like the banana has been my pre-workout go-to for years, right? So to take that away, it's going to take you longer than 30 days to make that adjustment and transition. Yeah. And along the way, you're going to question why you're doing it. And if, as soon as that thought enters your mind, it's like, that's when I feel like I want to shut things down. Like, why am I doing this? And I was like, I'm doing it for market research. I'm doing this to learn. So that's why I was able to stick to it. But yeah, it's not an easy one for me personally. People have success on it, but I totally get why. Like, it drives insulin way down. So when you're losing complex carbohydrates and you're taking out fruit, those are two main drivers for insulin. So you're gonna lose some pounds. I don't know how you're gonna feel, but like I said, you're not, put it this way, if you drive insulin way down, you're gonna have a crash. You're gonna feel, your energy will be probably on a lower level, you know. At some point you might feel, like I said, I felt good. I was like, okay, this isn't so bad. Losing bread was, I thought that was going to be really challenging. That actually wasn't the biggest challenge. It was kind of losing bread and then losing fruit. Mm-hmm. So losing both of those and not having one to kind of fall back on, right? So yeah, no, it was good 30.
Do you have any advice for anyone that wants to try keto? Like, do you have like any recommendations? Do you just say fuck it, don't do it, or like?
No, I would say do it. I would say I would definitely just say like do it, and then just make sure you really know why you're doing it. And if you're just doing it to lose weight, like you're gonna quit. Like, I hate to be like, you know, you will eventually just hit a point where, so you got to be flexible with it. Like, you got to not have to focus on being perfect. So if you have a tough day or a tough couple of days or a tough week, like, don't quit. Just try to get yourself back into it, because if you think you're gonna win it with one swing of the bat, like, it's a hard one to do. So yeah, just don't quit if you're gonna start on it. Just give yourself some flexibility, learn, ask some questions, and you know, do it for those reasons. Because it's, even with intermittent fasting, anything like that took me like 6 or 7 tries to really get into it, learn about it, like, you know, do a bit of a progression. Some people can knock it out with one swing and do their full fast and go for 60, but it took me a little bit to integrate into it. So yeah, take your time. You know.
And what is like one food or one thing that you discovered on there that you really enjoyed eating? Like, what was one thing you're like, oh, like I miss eating, or like I really enjoyed eating this? Like, was there one type of food?
Nothing
or like,
really.
I know you didn't hit the keto store because you wanted to keep it as whole food as possible.
Honestly, there was like nothing that I left that I was like, yay, that was a great recipe. Gotcha. Or like, I really want to have that. Like, I almost like started like hating things that I liked. Like eggs, I was getting like so done with because of eggs and cheese. And so it's actually been like, doing like the keto and then going into vegan was actually a really nice transition to kind of hopefully get my enjoyment back for like certain foods that I had in my diet before. Because like right now I'm not missing eggs, and it's been 9 days on vegan, so I'm like meh, okay. Like, because I'm so. But there's that mung bean that was interesting.
That's vegan.
Yeah, mung bean.
It's called Just Eggs. It just came out. It just got released. I got it at Palm. You get it at Whole Foods, and basically like it's an egg patty, and you just toss it in the toaster. Yep. And it's made of mung bean and pea protein, so it mimics an egg. Did it taste like an egg?
I would say if I ordered, somebody slipped that into Tim Hortons wrap, I wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So mung bean.
Oh, mung.
There you go. I found that this week for you, so good job. So vegan, you're on vegan now. So what are the positives of the first week? I don't want to hear the negatives. What are the positives of the first week of vegan, besides not eating eggs?
Just the carbs. Just getting carbs back, getting fruit back. Like, I'm not saying I'm doing it in any special way, but it's just nice to have your bullets back. Nice to have your fruit. Nice to get back into, you know, having a little bit of, even like a sushi roll with just like a piece of avocado, cucumber, yam, whatever it is. It's nice. It's nice to have a little bit more of like a diversity, you know. So yeah, it's awesome. Yep, for sure. It's gonna be an adjustment. I always feel like it seems like there's 2 week of like this honeymoon phase, and then we'll see how, like, if my body goes low on iron in the next like couple of weeks, we'll see how that feels, right? So on my iron supplements.
I feel like there's a honeymoon stage for everything if you want to talk nutrition, right? Like, everyone's always like gung ho when they start a nutrition program or even fitness, right? Yeah. Even a new job, it's like, oh my god, this is so great. You know, I had a client start a new job, and
then the law of familiarity sinks in.
It was Rory. He's like, you know, he started a new job, and I was just like, so how's the job? He's like, well, honeymoon phase is over. I'm like, yeah, that's so true. Yeah, like the first 2 weeks you're meeting people, talking to people, and it's just like,
change is fun.
You get past that honeymoon stage of anything.
Yep, and then you get to see if it's
true
the
colors.
real deal for sure, 100%.
There you go.
All right, I
All
got. Well, I was just gonna ask you a training question about spring's coming about, and I've always kind of believed that throughout the year, there's cycles of what's hot in regards to our own training programs. What training do you find is most effective for you? Like, what do you when your body's really responding? Like, what is your training kind of looking like?
It's a mix of everything. It's when I know I want to say like consistency is key and I want to say stick to the same thing. But when I add a mixture of every sort of fitness, so, Pilates and running and
what's
yoga.
your primary, like?
My primary would be in the summer. I'm my fittest in the summer because I'm outside more. I'm outside more. I'm on the crunch. I'm running. Right. I'm picking up my running. So I usually do like 10Ks a week, maybe sometimes 3. I'm outside hiking. I'm on the crunch and I'm training inside. So for me, in the summer when I'm outside more is when I am my fittest.
You can kind of see like having a fitness
weird.
business on the West Coast, and like I for sure like when the weather gets better, like you're outside more. It's almost like that fun element of training is in where you can put in 2 hours and be like, whoa, I just like was outside for 2 hours doing whatever. So you definitely can see like when the weather gets better. Running is big. I mean, for me, basketball, just shooting hoops alone and playing some baseball when team sports was allowed. So
I find that it's the most efficient when I'm doing about 30 to 45 minutes in the gym and I'm outside for the rest of the time. So that's when I find I'm the most efficient.
Get that volume in.
Yes, and running for me is not a stress. It's not annoying. It's where I can literally shut off my brain, and it's actually the only thing that shuts off my brain is running, and I get so creative on my runs. So
running is therapeutic for a lot of people.
Very therapeutic. So when people say like, "How do you run?" and it's like, well, it's not a stress, right? Anything that becomes a stress, that's when it's like it doesn't work. So if you're outside running or you're doing something that you hate, you're not going to enjoy it. And you're not going to see results from it. So
like even with runners, like you see a lot of stuff that comes up with runners, like plantar fasciitis or certain types of aches and pains that come about because of the high volume that a lot of runners put in because they love it so much. But I think one of the worst things that you can tell a runner or somebody who's really passionate about something is, hey, in order to fix that, just stop doing it. And it's like you got to know that like that's not going to happen. So like like I said, you're working with runners or someone who's, like I said, really passionate about what they're doing. The solution to stop doing it isn't really the most effective. Like if you understand their personality types, they're gonna go. So figure out another solution.
What about you? What is your like main focus? Like when do you feel like you're optimal? Like what is the training for you? Like in the gym, outside, basketball? Like what do you think?
For me, definitely like I will say like it's not for when I'm feeling my best is when I actually have my recovery. Like the hot tubs, the saunas, the yogas, like on the tail end. Those are the really like primary, the stuff that really supplements I get so much exercise in that like I feel the best when I can do the therapy stuff.
Okay.
Right. And I feel like that's what I've lost in COVID is like the ability to schedule in my therapy downtime to kind of like hit the saunas and just quiet things down and just warm up the body a little bit. So but training wise for me, like I have to strength train. Like I can't let that fall by the wayside. Like I notice like my muscle builds quick, and I feel like I'm at this plateau point where like, especially from a size perspective, because I'm not going to excessively consume, so I build like bulk muscle. So I have to strength train to maintain that lean muscle mass. So strength training's big. I would love to be able to do more like athletic conditioning. I just feel like my joints, like I have to keep it in there more consistently. But I love to do my box jumps, like just to keep my vertical ability kind of alive. It's a use it or lose it principle, right? So staying on that once or twice, bi-weekly is kind of big. But like everything needs to be like little sprints in the gym, like just like rower sprints, bike stuff. It all plays into it. But when I'm my worst is when I am overdoing one area consistently, like when I'm just strength training, or if I'm
just playing basketball,
just playing like sports and whatever it is, and doing strength training once a week. Like so, like when I have the whole piece of the puzzle kind of clicking, I feel a lot better. My joints feel better, energy and whatnot. So.
I will say that with running too. Like I have to actually pull myself back in the summer from over running because I could run every single day, right? Like I love it, right? Yeah. So, but I have to tell myself like, you have a job to do, like you have clients that need you, like you need to make sure that you're, you know, not going to physio, so you need to make your stretching, right? Like I've actually put a rule in place that when I'm on my run, I say like, I will stretch, and I'm fine, right? So
stretching is the thing that everybody says, like, I gotta stretch more.
I know, I know, but I actually make a point when I run
that.
to be like, you need to stretch because I can't be going to physio. It takes forever to get to my physio, right? So I have to make sure. So instead of booking right ahead and being like,
yeah, it's definitely, I think the pandemic, you got to be self-sufficient.
Yep.
Like you really
that's why
do
those
have
guns
to
work really well.
Yeah, you really like it definitely taught us how to be like, okay, well, that's not, you know, that's back ordered or let's say backed up for another 6 to 8 weeks for this. It's like got to figure out some way to, you know, integrate it in and add it in yourself,
Totally.
right? Anything else that you want to throw out? Because I got a nutrition question for you that observing like some of these diets, and a lot of it is snacking. So like I'll say I don't know why it took me so long to come to this realization that a lot of, I think, what people do is, you know, we work, you know, talk nutrition, and I think we talked about how snacking is
It's deadly.
a huge deadly factor to people gaining
just
weight,
gonna be there, yeah.
mucking with your insulin, mucking with your hormones. So if you could pick one way of eating, let's say an 8-hour eating window or 5 to 6 meals per day, which one would you pick and why?
8 hour for sure. I don't believe in the 5 to 6 bodybuilder type eating window. I did at one point. I will admit that. It works for some people and it doesn't work for other people. I think that when someone is starting out, the 5 to 6 meals per day is a little bit more ideal, so they feel full all day long and they're not snacking. But once someone gets the hang of it, pulling that and making them do 3 larger meals is so much more beneficial, I find. I feel like that's when people see the results, when they're like, okay, breakfast, lunch,
dinner, and
you got it.
Yeah.
You got it. I feel like people see the results when they do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and if they have a snack here and there, it doesn't matter. But relying on those snacks, and I think I've said it before in here, it's like, as kids, we have recess. There's a snack time midday, and after school we need a snack, and there's nothing wrong with this, but kids are playing and they're running around and they're doing gym class, but as adults we're sitting for 8 to 9 hours a day working, right? And I think that's
For the
why
most part, like you don't need the food,
you don't need the snacks, but we're so embedded in thinking that we need the snacks as like from a little kid's perspective, right? Breakfast, recess snack, lunch, after school snack. But you have to think that those kids are more active, they're playing sports, all that kind of stuff. But I think as adults we create those habits of being like that, or even the after dinner after snack, or I'm hungry. Are you hungry or are you thirsty? Are you hungry or did you not eat enough food? Are you hungry or are you bored?
I think there's a lot of the semantics of how things have been. Like I think they should just called food fuel. Like fuel time. You know, like it's just
100%.
like how things are. Like a snack is like, oh, it's like a pleasure thing, and you just can carry that over. But I mean, as it was called fuel, so you'd have to kind of understand. Is this fueling my body? Or I think people with snacking too, it's almost, you have to obviously really be mindful as to why you're snacking, but it's if you don't know when you're snacking or when you're crashing, and it's like taking a reactive not a proactive approach opposed to reactive with your snacking, knowing that like, okay, 2 o'clock every single day I hit that dip. So what can I add there that's not, let's say, extremely processed or spikes my insulin, like from I don't know, evaluate things from a health perspective in some way, and anticipate, like have a half a banana, so you can manipulate your insulin in like a more positive way, opposed to having that handful of gummy bears or cookies or whatever. Even though I love cookies, but you know, if you're on a certain like health and nutrition path.
What would be some snacks that you could find that are like under 300 calories that you would recommend to someone having a snack if they needed it? What would you recommend?
I don't know. I just always go fruit, right? I know it's such a square.
A fruit's
reply.
okay. So like
I know,
a banana,
but like I'd rather have like a couple pinches of grapes. Like I wish people could feel how my body, like when I'm like whatever and I fire a few grapes down, boom. Like I literally, when people ask about pre-workout, yo, do you take pre-workout? I'm like, man, I don't. But like this is the old school reply is like, have a few grapes, have a half a banana. Like tell me, like when your glycogen is that diminished and you have that, it just fires you right up. Like at least for me,
it's actually funny.
I can ride that for
It's actually
hours.
funny because I just had someone message me like right before we started, and they said, I'm finding my pre-workout bloats me. It's got creatine in it.
Put the powder in your mouth and just
right. And I said, well, yeah, creatine is gonna make you a little bit feel more puffy to get that pump in a little bit more. And they're like, well, what can I take for a pre-workout? And I'm like, food. Like food and water. Like you're right. Like half a banana and a peanut butter apple. Like
some people say they don't like to work out with something in their stomach, and like I get that, but you don't have to have like a bagel. Right? You can have like a quarter of a banana and just fire that down there, and that'll get you through like your 30, 45 minute hour workout. You know,
I do believe that food is more beneficial for pre-workout than any sort of drink, coffee, anything like that. It's a placebo in my head to take a pre-workout in my head. I mean, I know it's got some stuff in it that will help you, but at the end of the day, ask yourself why you're working out, and you'll probably be able to get through that workout.
Yep. Yeah, the training is definitely a big factor. You got to figure out what kind of training you're doing, like what, like I said, running, like that banana for me was huge with running.
Yep.
That's why I love like I think it was a Sun Run some years ago, and like, or it might have been the BMO half, and they had like little like bananas like every whatever,
Yeah.
like Mario just like scooting. But I was running it with a couple clients of mine, and like they didn't want to take the banana, and I'm like, interesting play. Like I just, because they said they didn't train by using the banana. I'm like, dude, it's just like a free energy. Like,
I know, but they don't know. If you don't train with something, like you're not gonna want to restart. Like,
I'm like training, like it's a half marathon.
For the people that have ran that don't really run half marathons, everything matters because your bowels can just go in running, and that's why they get nervous when it comes to adding in a banana. And when you haven't trained with banana.
Get on the boat, yeah, banana boat.
Yes, but anyways, I think that's why people have an issue with like, oh, I'm just gonna add this in. So
yeah, that wasn't a plug for banana boat. Like remember that? Yeah. Remember that tanning cream or tanning oil?
Is that because my ankles went to the Bahamas?
Yeah, your ankles went to the $70 inclusive.
Scott, I put tanning lotion on, and I was really white the one day, and then the next day I came back. Scott's like, "Did your legs go to an all-inclusive?"
I'm like, "Where'd you travel to?"
I traveled to my bathroom in spray tan.
What kind of deal did you get?
I have a question for you.
Lay it on me.
Okay, so for myself, I'm asking this question, and I'm sure people have it out there. I am someone that in the past, I've had a lot of issues with people disliking me, and I would sit there and I would ask myself questions like, what did I do wrong? Or I'd try to gain their friendship back, or basically my clients back by being like, doing everything in my power to get someone to like me, or I might manipulate the way I am to like me. So
You're asking me this question?
Yeah, I am, because I think there are people out there. I'm not the only one. So, I mean, I don't have the best answers because I'm just learning this, but what are some tips for people to getting over the fear of people not liking them? Because people are not going to like you, and I know that you don't give a shit. So like, what is a couple?
I don't give a shit. I just don't think about it.
Okay, you don't think about it. Sorry.
It doesn't cross my mind to be like, how can I make somebody like me?
Okay, so what would you do if someone didn't like you, and how would you
focus on your goals?
Okay.
I don't know. I get what you're trying to get at, but like for me, like I don't have the mindset of. I didn't go into school trying to make friends. I didn't go into school. I don't go into situations to. I want to get to know people, but I'm not like, hey, like we want to become maybe like, I don't know exactly. It's hard to be like, hey,
I think it's different for males and females, because I think females are more sensitive.
So for me personally, yes. I'm like, I go in, somebody can integrate themselves into if you don't irritate me.
Okay.
So like when I go, I know it sounds really bad, but like working like in any other situation.
Don't irritate Scott and be his friend.
Don't irritate me. Like if you irritate me, if you become smothery or like overbearing, I'll never be, we'll be like whatever, but I'll never be tight with you.
Have you ever had anyone smother?
Yeah, you have people who are try-hard personality types. They really want to be like whatever. Okay. Like I don't know, and that doesn't fit for me. Like some teammates back in the day, like there might be like not the top on the team, so they want to fit in, they want to be part of it, and like that's cool. Just don't disrupt my flow, man. Like I want to
So do you tell them to back off, or what do you say?
I just make it abundantly clear that I like my own space. So like when I'm getting myself prepped, I don't like a bunch of people around me. So like, but again, that's why when I was young, like coaches would say like, hey, you got to like, integrate some people in, because I was like, I like to zone in and just, say baseball. It's a very it's a team focused sport, but it's also very solo. Like you got to get into your zone. And I don't like talking to people while I'm trying to get in the zone. Like I just want to hang out. I don't need to even be loud. I just have to sit there and, just good light music will kind of help me get in the zone, right? But I don't need to be like around a bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
I'm not that. So I guess it parlays into like, you're like an extroverted person who likes a lot of people. So like, I don't know if people have a lot of value in how many people they have in their like network. I've never had that, right? Okay. Like I've never had like, I have the same friends from when I was like, 13, 12, right? And like, we barely even like each other. No, I'm joking.
Wow.
No, I'm joking. No, we love each other.
So
we're all similar. Like all of our buds are similar. Like we're independent. We almost became friends because we weren't like the clinger types. And looking back in the day, like the guys who were like in our like secondary circle, if like they were overbearing and like really, how come you didn't text me when you were going there, man? Or how come like this? Or how come you didn't give me a show? It's like, I don't know. We just didn't. Like we just, you know what I mean? Like we don't want those relationships.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Advice to somebody who like wants to make friends, like
no, an advice to
someone
go
make cookies for people or something, and
no, an advice to someone that like an advice to someone who has to get over the fact that like they're not liked by some people. That would be
set goals.
And not focus on it, basically.
Yeah, like focus on stuff that I don't know. Like if your goal is to make a bunch of friends, then that's cool. Like make a bunch of friends and create like a social network, and there's things that you can do. But if your goal is to build a company or build something that you're going to need to really focus on that. Like the people isn't going to help that, right? You got to be able to go into yourself and be okay with being alone and be okay with silence a little bit, and and that's it. But everybody's goals are different. Personality types are complete. I'm a bad person to ask that question.
That's why I asked you.
Yeah. So like to ask me that is like I think it's a waste of time, like in general, right? So that's an unpopular opinion, right? Like something that is like having a bunch of friends. I'd be like, I was taught like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future, right? So it's like if you've got 100 friends and...
It's not so much the friends question that I'm asking, it's the fact that like, it's being unliked like in anything. So like in business, in coaching. So like say you worked with a teammate and they're just like, I don't fucking like you.
If you're focused on being liked, you're not going to win. So that's what I'm going to say.
Perfect.
If you're worried about somebody liking you or someone else's approval, like you're already focusing on things that... So I don't know. It's just, if you want to be liked, if that's your goal, then focus on it. If you have a purpose, you're not going to go, it's like when you're a competitor, like you're not worried about looking across the way, like, I wonder if they're going to like me after the game or not. Like you want to focus on the win, right? So yeah, that's the difference. That's the difference of talking to, I guess, a competitive athlete personality type or like a socialite. Could give a fuck less, right? So let's go with, let's say like, so with one-on-one coaching, as we do one-on-one, primarily 1-on-2 max, give me like the stuff that you enjoy about one-on-one coaching and group training, because you've done both more than I've done any of those. I mean, I've done one-on-one pretty much primarily. I'd say 95% of my career has been one-on-one. So like, what's like the stuff you like, the pros and the cons of one-on-one and the pros and the cons of like group?
I like the intimacy of the one-on-one, and I like the results of the one-on-one. And I like to be able to understand a person and what they need and then actually dive into it with them versus having to work with like 12 to 15 people and having to concern myself with 12 to 15 people, all that are doing the exact same thing, because it can't be customized, right? So I enjoy the customization of one-on-one. Yeah.
It's hard to diversify and create more complex, fun programs for like a bigger number. Yeah.
And as you know, in my group fitness, I tried to customize, right? I tried to customize, and that was like hell. Yeah, it's hard. Right? You saw me, you're like, I would try and like it, like I looked around one time towards the end and I had 12 different people doing 12 different things. And I was like, I stopped the group and I was like, this is madness. This is why I'm linking up with Scott. This is why the model he's created is going to work, because I can't do this for you guys, for what you guys want. You're all injured. There's 12 of you, and it's stressful for me.
Well, just not necessarily injured. It's just people require different. There's so many.
There's
so many variables to the human being. This goes into another question of mine. Like the human being has like different abilities, different skill sets, different background, different history, sex, strength, endurance. There's so many different variables that come into play. So like, how, for me, when you look at it, like to be able to find a bell curve for everybody, man. It's so, I couldn't even imagine. Like I could do it if I sat there, but it's so complicated to evaluate. It's like being a teacher where you look at like, okay, so you got 30 kids. What could you teach that essentially they all could learn effectively at some point? Like some kid who's going to be the smart kid is going to be held back because you're not going to be able to challenge him enough. The kid who is probably on the lower end of, let's say, the IQ spectrum of that might still be too challenging for him. So like you're going to have such a hard time balancing things out. So you get the same like IQ level on all, and like I said, that's what elite teams. That's why group fitness is like it's like a bit of a mirror, or came from a team sport background, because when you've got like a hockey team of 15-year-olds, they're on the same wavelength with the most different abilities, whatever the case may be, but that team has same things they got to build, culture that they want to establish, and hopefully goals that they want to accomplish as a group, as a unit, where like you get public group fitness and you got some people coming in for various prices for different reasons, and that just poses such a challenge for like long-term quality, I find, from a training perspective. But what's like something that's challenging from a personal training perspective that you found? Because it's not all like sunshine and rainbows in the personal training industry, and this is why we're doing what we're doing, but what's a challenge that you found so far from a one-on-one perspective?
I think two things would be, one, programming. I mean, anyone can program, but understanding what different body types need, which is why we do assessments. But I find programming for up to the amount of clients that I have for a day sometimes is a little bit challenging because I'm not giving the same program. And I know a couple people will ask, like, do you give the same program all day long? And I'm like, no, you might do the 1 or 2 exercises the same, but you're not going to do the exact same program as my 6 a.m. and my 6 p.m.
No, yeah.
Right? For the most part.
Volume is different, right?
Volume is different. People can handle more.
Yep.
People are
Intensity
different.
varies.
Yep.
Yep.
Some clients have been with me for 3, 5, 6 years. Some have been with me for 30 days.
Yep.
So I find that is a little bit challenging. And then I also find when people don't get the results and they're paying the amount that they're doing, I take it personally, and I know it's not me and all that kind of stuff, but I have a hard time.
Yeah, accountability on the coach for sure.
Right? Like I feel like it's my fault. And some people will be like, no, it's not your fault, it's mine. And that I find that hard on me is when someone's paying such an elite price and they're not getting the results that they're seeing. So those are 2 things that I find a little bit challenging. What about you?
One-on-one, I mean, I love one-on-one because I feel like I'm my best coach in a one-on-one situation. I love working with sports teams for sure. But like I said, I like working with sports teams. Like I like working with teams that got a culture and everybody has like one collective goal so you can speak a certain language and then, modify one-on-one. One-on-one's great because you can have those discussions. As a coach, it challenges you to alter your approach to people's mood sometimes. Like, post work is different, early morning is different. Like you really get to know the person intimately, how they perform, what drives them, what demotivates them. And I think you just become a better coach working one-on-one, which is why I think trainers really shortchange themselves when they go and apply to group fitness business as a personal trainer, because like I said, to me, it's like wanting to learn how to cook in a high-end restaurant than applying at McDonald's.
Yep.
Right. And it's like it's not an insult to McDonald's. I love the business model is amazing, but if you want to become a better, higher quality chef, like you probably shouldn't be going there. Maybe go there for a month. I don't know if you want to see the system, but you're going to have a discipline to get out and go put yourself in better situations. Right. So I just feel like I've become a way far better coach I could ever imagine if in a one-on-one setting than I could in a group setting. Like I couldn't even imagine where I would be if I'd be dead. You'd be done.
So what do you think is the hardest thing for you working one-on-one with people? Is there anything? Because I know you said it comes easy for you, right?
No, it doesn't come easy. It's work, right? So the hardest thing when you're starting is not taking that client's mood personally. So it's like if they're not in the greatest mood, like you can't let that mood drive your mood. And I think a lot of trainers when they're new, it's like they're trying to ride the energy of the clients. Like you need to really be your own situation, block off the negative energy, but still know how to drive them and get them to perform, right? So that's the difference with, one-on-one coaching is not just, hey, I'm a one-on-one coach and I'm amazing. It's like, no, you're going to get someone who's had a tough week, rough day, whatever the case may be. And you got to protect your energy because you have to be the best for that person. And not only that, people afterwards.
Yes. You actually just nailed it there. That is something that people struggle with.
It's not just
so-and-so
had a bad day and everything's all good, right?
So-and-so had a bad day. Like, I don't know how to train them for that. It's like, well, you just...
Yeah, they had a bad day. What are you going to affect your next 4 or 5 hours, right?
Yeah.
But it happens, right?
Yeah.
It's what new coaches experience. And that's part of protecting your energy and developing your environment. And that's why our environment I love because, music for me is huge.
Yeah.
Right? So when the music is... it keeps me in like a nice zone of, in a positive headspace. Cause like I said, that's the challenge is protecting your energy and trying to stay positive.
Besides music, cause I have a couple of things too, besides music, do you do anything? Like if you have a client that's bringing bad energy to the thing, like do you do anything? Do you say anything? Do you do you say I'm grateful? Like I know that's something you repeat it.
No, nothing internally. I just try to be with them and just, not try to make it worse. There's time, and I'm not perfect in any sense because sometimes it does get frustrating listening to certain type of complaints and you want to use the workout as a means to de-stress and get a sweat on, right? But sometimes sometimes it's not as simple as that is, right? So, but no, you got to just go with them and not judge them and try to shake them out or go a little heavier or really try to integrate a little bit of an intense warm up, something to kind of snap them out of it, right? So there's a couple of strategies you can use, but
cool.
Yeah, generally I will say people do feel better after their workout.
100%. And
right? I get that a lot where they're like, you know what? I feel great afterwards. And I'm like, that's great. That's awesome. That's what we're here for, right? It's not going to feel great starting off a lot of times. Who wants to start working out, get your body moving, blah, 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 blah. You've gone through a stressful day, but it's all about the afterwards, right? And that's where the habit comes in. You get addicted to that positive chemical release, right? And that's why we do what we do. People are like, why do you work out so much? Or why do you exercise so much? I'm like, because I'm so fucking stressed. It's like running high here. You know what I mean? Like stress is high. So, get that fitness on to de-stress, clear the mind. That's when the creative juices start to flow, which is why I want to do my own 30-day nutrition now after seeing a couple of these plans. And I'm like, I feel like I can hybridize a few things and mainly come up with a set of principles for 30 days that if you want to go hard, do this, and then we can do a 2-week transition out of it, right? So, but yeah, that's what it's all for. Do you want to throw something at me?
Yes, if you weren't running Fit Academy, what would you be doing? Is my first lead.
So if I wasn't in fitness?
If you weren't running Fit Academy, and if you weren't a personal trainer, what would you be doing right now?
If I was like no finance, just like have nothing, just starting life out. I think if I could probably, like, what are we talking about? Career-wise? Like, do I have like a magic amount of finance that I could just?
Nope, you have your career-wise, you're not running.
Do I get the job? Am I working towards something?
Let's just say that you
snap my fingers, I can have anything?
Anything you want. If you could do anything you want, snap your fingers, there's money involved, so if you have.
I'd be a dance DJ on the yachts, in the Mediterranean.
I don't think you're joking. That's the funny thing. But yeah, if you could be anything you want, no money involved, so like you could be a lawyer, doctor tomorrow.
Like.
Is that actually what you would?
Yeah, spin parties in Ibiza, on those hover planes, just like.
So you would be
have a tent,
DJ.
Speedos.
Okay.
I'd be Bob Sinclair.
He would be a DJ. Awesome. Okay.
I wouldn't be any one thing. I find I could be.
You'd be a different things.
Yeah, like I would love to be a DJ in the summertime and like on yacht parties and just have good times and keep it clean and just whatever, get a great tan. Then I'd love to be like a surgeon working with kids in some nature, or then I'd love to be like an architect designing buildings, so like, or a part-time musician working in pubs, slamming on the axe. Like there's
multiple things that you would want to do.
Of course there's multiple things. There's not one thing in life that I want to do. Hell, I'd love to be an astronaut for like a hot year and go, take a trip up to the moon if I could.
All right, okay, that's my question.
Hang out for 15 days in the asthenosphere.
All right, that's my question for you.
Mine is if you could have a TED Talk that wasn't based on fitness or nutrition, what would your topic be if you could have your own TED Talk?
Sorry.
Well, don't say menstrual cycle.
How to work with Scott Salling. I joked about making that. That's why I'm laughing. How to work with men.
Because he'll make you better.
How to work with men with a certain personality. With a creative personality. I don't know how I would describe you, but it definitely would be how to work with men and how to get your voice heard as a female in a non-invasive and they'll use the word bitch for girls that are strong.
It's a little hard code.
It is, but there's this book out there, actually it just came to my head, was Why Women Are Bitches, and I think a lot of us read it. And men had an issue when this book came out because it was talking about it's why we're bitches and why we act the way we act, right?
I don't like the word bitch though. I think it's
very,
I think it's just a little like immature.
This book was like 10 years old. I read it when I was at Boathouse. Actually, it got it gifted to me by my GM at the time.
Yeah.
And it was Why Men Love Bitches.
Oh,
that's what it is. Remember that book, Why Men Love Bitches?
That's weird.
Yeah, and it's like I see it in a certain way, but not a lot of men are going to like that.
I'd have to read it.
I think you should read it. I don't know where it is. It's not a book.
Why Men Love Bitches.
Why Men Love Bitches. And
it's so funny because
guys hated the book. I know you don't, but guys hated the book. But it talks about how strong.
It should be like why men gravitate towards strong women. But
exactly.
This is the thing about marketing and book titles, and I know this is like that title is more captivating for sales.
But if I had to do
why men love, why men are more attracted to strong women. It's like
and that's the thing, but that's exactly what the book was about. It was about how men are attracted to strong women who have goals, who are, say high up in a company and all that kind of stuff, because, some men are really attracted to that, right? Some men are not. But if you're a confident man, then you will probably gravitate towards that. Anyways, so if I had a TED Talk, it would probably be how women can get along in the workplace, or how women can get their voice heard alongside a dominant male, right? Because if you're a dominant female, so that bitch word, if you're a dominant female and you're a dominant male, how can these two worlds collide? When can that woman step back and when can that man step back, right?
I definitely think a huge thing that you see now is being a man personally, and I don't look at like gender or sex or anything like that is hardly a evaluation thing. But I think when somebody tries to use it, I think that's when it gets a little bit men should have this, or women. It's like just drop that and just focus on
And then
what
being
you guys
humans.
want to just focus on what you want to accomplish, because I think that's when, say for me personally, if somebody wants to bring in like you want to accommodate and make people, you have to understand certain things of the biology of a female, where like the bathrooms aren't going to be the same. Like you know, you have to evaluate certain things, and that's that's normal. But as far as like expectations or performance, or let's say standards and culture within everybody within, it's like that should be all universal. It shouldn't be like, oh, men should get paid this and women should get paid this, or vice versa, or women should have more advantage here and men should have less advantage. It should just be when you're focusing on a culture, everybody has to go in the same direction. And I just like I said, I believe if somebody wants to come in and think that, oh, because we're a certain this, then we should have, it's like right there it's an entitlement mindset. So I think when you have like people who really are focused on performance, entitlement and that type of energy is just going to hold you back completely.
But I think
you're not getting canned because you're a man or a woman. You're getting canned because you're a poor fit for this team.
I couldn't agree more.
And your growth is inhibited because of your mindset, not because of what you are.
But it's so easy for the female, and
the lady.
So easy for the female to use the whole word.
Of course.
Sexism and feminism, because it's a hot topic right now, and it's annoying to know that those words can be tossed around. And I'm a female, you know, like I run my own business. Like it's just like, it's annoying to hear that, because it's like, it's possible to work with a male and it's possible to be a strong woman. You just have to know when to shut your mouth and when to speak. And I know that might be sounding really harsh, but it's true, right? And same with a man. Like a man has to know when to shut his mouth and when to speak as well. It's not just a female.
Yeah, it's universal across the board, right? And that starts with culture. But
I will give a little tip though, for a female working with a male, and I would definitely say this.
Give a lot of excuses.
No, I would say as a female, you want to listen and you want to roundabout approach and make it seem like it's a conjoined, what was the word I'm looking for? A conjoined idea. So instead of being like, I have this great idea, let's do it this way, and the guy might not see it at the time. I'm not saying this with you personally, but the guy might not see it at the time, but be like, hey, what do you think about this? And the guy could be like, no. And it's like, okay, well, it's going to do X, Y, and Z. Okay.
Everything, timing is everything.
And when you approach the male as well, or when you approach a female. If a female is sitting there busy in her work.
Just cut the male-female word out. Well, timing is important for anybody in order to function. Like, we all receive feedback at different times. We all are willing to listen at different times.
True.
Like, timing is so unbelievably important, regardless if you're a man or a woman. So, like, it's, you know, and that's how I don't look at it as a male or female thing. It's just timing is important. And just, you know, nobody's timing is, you know, everybody's gonna be so different. You have to respect boundaries. You gotta respect the professional, and that's why don't get to know the female professional. Get to know the professional.
True.
Right. So.
Anyways,
that's all. Respect is so key, right? And if you look, and I just believe if you look to want to learn about people, then you're gonna be a little bit more compassionate, whether it's a man or a woman, or like man or a woman aside. Like, there's a history of that human being, right? So like, want to learn about people, and then that way you'll develop a little bit more compassion, because, you know, if you just constantly try to like win or get your thing or jump, it's like it's just so rudimentary. So it's just too high school group for me. You know what I mean? It's like, should be able to kind of like have a bit of an idea, meritocracy, throw some things out, give some people the floor, evaluate things, not judge, and have whatever idea comes forth is for the greater good of the vision. And it's like, we all win when the best idea wins, not my idea or whatever. I'm not, you know, trademark every single thing. Like, at the end of the day, like, even how a lot of my philosophies come from being inspired by other people's work ethic or whatever. So not reinventing the wheel here, you know, just trying to create a unique culture. So for me, I got one last.
I have one last question too, but.
Let's go. Like, what's your best purchase under $100 that you've made? I know you like your consumer products, and I kind of give you guys a little bit of, you know, have some jokes while we're training. But what's the best purchase you made under $100 in the last, let's say, hour?
I did buy my mom a pair of Louis for Mother's Day. My best purchase under $100. That's a tough one.
Yeah. That would be a tough one.
Oh, wow. I don't know. I actually have no idea. I don't know what I purchased in the last little bit under $100 that has made my life more.
Eyebrows, hairs, any like
No, that's too
watch, pants.
I mean, I love my Apple Watch. I paid $100 for it. Jenna gave it to me, so I mean, that's pretty. But I know it's not under $100, right? So I have no idea what under $100 has made my life better.
Any books?
No, I bought the Bonnie Henry book, and I'm not interested in it, so
Fair enough.
I can't say that.
I did a little briefing. I think they forgot one thing in that book, though.
What?
Well, they gave like top 10 things on how to like become better in a pandemic or stop.
Yeah.
I think they forgot to block the borders off and minimize
Oh
travel.
yeah, they definitely should have done that. What's one thing that you bought under $100? Maybe if you tell me yours, I'll think of something. What's the best thing that you've bought under $100?
Under
Besides
$100
these mirrors.
well, that's stuff like you can do good DIY projects for under $100. But
Yeah.
best thing under $100 for me is probably just like I don't know, little decor things for the gym
Okay.
I purchased.
Yeah, you
like
did. We
the
did
best thing
what
under
you
$100 is the Viking press.
Yep.
Right, the Viking press has been great. That was $89 on.
Yep.
Yeah, I purchased that for $89. That was a great purchase.
Yep.
Gets a lot of use.
I did-
My Nike basketball.
Okay.
Right.
I did find these waffles under $100.
This hat for $5.
I did find these waffles under $100, and I'm actually obsessed with them. Waffles. They're
Yeah.
from Palm, and I think everyone went out and bought them. But
Yeah.
those are one of my favorite things under $100.
There you go.
They make my time easier in the morning. They got
Nice.
protein in them, and they're gluten free.
Cool. Give me some of them waffles.
I don't know. That's a
You
weird
have, you
question.
have any rapid fires or anything?
I don't. I don't have any rapid fires today.
Me neither.
I
Who do
didn't
you like
think so.
better, mums or dads?
I don't know. They both have their qualities.
Yeah. That's right.
I've learned a
Supposed
lot
to say
from
mums.
my-
It's Mums Day.
I know, but I can't just say my mom and not my dad. Like they both have taught me everything.
True.
So I don't know. That would be one of the things. You can't say mom or dad either. Both of them have taught
I'm
you.
just gonna
something.
say mum because it's Mums Day.
Oh gosh. All right. That's all I have.
All right, episode 8. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys soon. Scott Salling, Liz Nacarado. Go Blue Jays.
Happy Mom's Day.